Welcome to the Job Hours Tracking Report. You know those jobs that you have that are really big? Kind of tough to keep track of the number of hours that you've actually put into that job. Again, if it's a small job, it's a one-day job, a two-day job, you can pretty much keep track of that in your mind. And did you get that job done in the number of hours that you thought it was going to take you, that you put in your bid? But when the job starts spanning a couple of weeks or months or worse yet, years, and you've got hundreds or even thousands of hours in a bid on a job, it's difficult, if not impossible, to keep track of, are we on target to finish that job on time? And I don't want to have to wait until we get to the end of that job. The Job Hours Tracking Report will help keep you on track and make sure that you finish your jobs on time. Now, when you first go in here the first time, your report will be empty. There won't be any data in it. I'm simply going to, what you're going to see is that window right there, right? This is the start of the window. It's the start of the actual jobs. We're going to enter our first job. So let's walk through entering a job in here and show you how this works. We'll start out with, what is the job name? All right, we'll just put in a job name, whatever it is, so we can keep track of it. Which department is doing this job? All right, so this is an installation job that we're putting in. Next, what's the job type? Is it commercial or residential? Because, again, the job's performance will tend to be a little bit different. And so that way we want to be able to break this down between commercial or residential type of work. We're going to put residential. Next, who is the lead technician? Who is the individual who's responsible for making this job comes in on time? Right now, that might be an estimator or the project manager who's going to be working on the job and really maintaining or monitoring things that are done. It might be the lead guy on the job, the lead installer. That is that lead tech. We're going to say in this particular case, it's Josh, right? So we just plug Josh's name in there. We do that for a specific reason. Next, what's the start date of this job? All right, so we're going to say this job already started, right? We started it back on September 1st. We plug that data in there. Now, we start getting into the specifics of this particular proposal itself. So we start out with, number one, the initial estimate hours. How many hours were in your proposal, in your bid to the customer? So let's say on this particular job, it was 250 man hours is what we had in the original bid. Okay, we'll go down. Along the way, have there been any change orders for this job? Because again, any change orders typically adds more hours to the job itself. So we'll say there was a change order here that added another 25 hours to the job. The next box down, the percent complete. So what we're going to do is each week, we're going to go back and talk to the lead tech. In this case, it was Josh. And we're going to say, Josh, give me your best estimate. How far along are you on this job? Give me a percentage. Are you 10% done, 20% done, 70% done, whatever that number is? Right, we'll say at this point, Josh says, and again, it's a best guess. Josh is saying we're 35% complete on the job. Next, at the end of each week, look at your payroll summary, look at the job tickets that came in, and how many hours did the guys apply to this job? Right, today it might have been Joe and John who were out there working, and tomorrow it was John and Jeff, and the next day it's Kent and Bill. And so again, for the whole team, how many hours have they applied to this particular job? And so we're going to say on this particular job, they've now applied 115 hours. All right, so what this is telling me, if I look at the other side of the screen, is this job, we had a grand total of 275 hours in this proposal. That's all time completed, the actual original proposal and any change orders that took effect on the job as well. If indeed we're 35% complete, then we should have used 96.25 hours on this particular job. We actually used 115. We're already on track to finish this job 18.75 hours behind schedule. We're already running behind. Right? And then at that point, how many hours are left to finish? We've got 160 hours left to complete this job. It gives you an idea as far as where you're at. Now, on this particular job, and so it's telling me with the red banner that we're right now on track to finish this job behind schedule. Right, so we're going to go ahead and accept that job. It tells me I've got success. It's going to add it to my particular list of jobs. Now, in my case, I've got a whole bunch of jobs that are in here that have spanned a couple of different years, a number of different departments, and both res and commercial type jobs. You can boil this list down and filter it out very simply First off, as you start adding jobs, you'll see years to complete. Well, I really don't need to see the information from back in 2016, in 2017, 2019. I'll pull those off the list. And so that gives me only the jobs for 2021. Now, if I want to add a year back on, all I do is hit the drop-down arrow and reselect that particular year. It will add it back to my list. Which departments? Well, I don't need to see the stuff from service, right? So you can narrow this down and just display the information on the screen that you want to see. And then from there, I can take it farther and say I want to see just the commercial jobs or just the residential jobs. Now, I can take that a little bit farther as well. You see there's one more filter right here, is the job status filter. Is it completed? Is it in progress? Right? So I want to see all jobs that are both completed and in progress. And so at that point, it brings right to the top of the list these new jobs that we just entered in. Right? Here's that new job that I have. Now, the way that this is laid out, the way that it's set is we have the print button down here. All right, so we will use this in a couple of different ways. Some contractors will actually display this live data for the team to see during the team meetings, and they can filter out the data and actually just display what they want to display. Others will just go ahead and hit print and print this off on the team. Maybe they'll put it on a PDF and display it on a working board in their office itself so everybody can see it. All right, we'll put it up on the screen during the meeting and cover it there. Now, if we look at the individual job, what we see, and I encourage you, share this with your technician, their team, right? Because if we look at it, after they've looked at this a couple of times, they're going to zero in on just a couple of columns. They're going to look at the individual jobs, right? So I know which job it is. Then they're going to come back and they're going to look at the percentage complete. And they're also going to look at, are we over or under on this particular job? Right? And so they're going to look at those couple of columns. You can see we can actually scroll this over to the side, right? So I can see at this point hours ahead or behind, right? So they're going to look right here at this column, right? And those are the projections that they're going to be looking at. And they're going to come up with one of three different points. One of three thoughts will hit when they see those numbers. The first one will be, we're behind schedule on this job, right? Who bid that thing? What were they thinking or what were they smoking when they bid that thing? Because it's awful. They didn't tell us we were going to have to core through a 24-inch fieldstone wall when we got out there. We didn't plan for that. That took us a whole bunch of time that we didn't anticipate, right? And so what will end up happening is if indeed you have estimate issues, it will start to correct the estimate issues that you have on the job itself. So you need to be working with your estimators in that particular case. The second thing that they will say is they'll look at that and see the percentage complete, 45. Who said we're 35% complete on this job? We're farther along than that. And remember, we were asking Josh to give us his best guess as far as how far along we were. If as a team, we all agree that we're actually 45%, no problem. We'll go in and we'll update that. We'll change it as long as we all agree as far as where we are. The third thing that they will think, right? So it's going to be one of these three areas. The third thing will end up being they're going to see, again, we're behind 18.75 hours. We really need to pick up the pace. Yeah, we are kind of dogging it, right? So again, they know at that point how much time, where they're tracking on the job all the way through the job. Now, two thoughts here. Number one, right, when they see this percentage complete, they're going, yeah, who said we're 35%? Again, think about that for a moment. How accurate is that estimate going to be the first half of the job? Well, not very. If they say we're 5% completed or 10% completed, there could be a fair amount of swing in there. But realistically, as we get closer and closer to the end of that job, that projection is going to get more and more accurate as we go through. And as long as a team we're in agreement, I'm comfortable changing it. Now, if I need to change that one, or each week, right, on here, again, you can see at the end, we've got the action icons. Anytime you see those three dots, there's something more that we can do there. So I can simply go into that and I want to edit this job. Right? And as a team, we agreed we weren't 35% done. We were actually closer to 45% done. Okay? Well, if we're 45% done, now at 45%, we would have used 123.75 hours. We've only used, at this point, 115, we're actually 8.7 hours, 8.75 hours ahead. And we still have 100 hours left to finish this particular job. And again, we're now under estimate. We're on target to come in ahead of schedule on this job. The advantage is it gives you the ability all the way through the job itself, all the way through the project, to make sure that we're getting the job done and we're staying on track to complete it on time. So here again, when I accept this job, it'll tell me success. It'll automatically have updated my numbers on this particular job, so we can now start to see where we're at. Again, you can filter this out. Give me just the jobs that are completed. Give me only the jobs that are in progress. I might be meeting with my residential team, and I want to see just those residential jobs. Or I'm meeting with the commercial team, and I want to look at just the commercial jobs. And sometimes that's important, because if you're a larger company, sometimes if you mix them all together, some of the guys will be looking at this report and going, well, yeah, we're bad, but we're not as bad as those guys are. Don't worry about those guys. Worry about yourself. That's the intent of this particular report. Again, look for this to be able to keep yourself on track for those larger jobs. If you have any questions on how to use the Job Hours Tracking Report, give us a call at Grandy & Associates.